All right, if you clicked on this, you pretty much know what's going on. 2010 Tacoma, got a little bit of a lift here, and I jumped to 34s. Along with that, I replaced almost all the front suspension. So new uppers, high caster, JBAs, Bilstein strut assembly, and then I also had some flat cam tabs. So cut those out, welded in a gusset kit. Now we need to do some alignment. So on this, just for reference, on the rear, I pushed the rear cam on the lower control arm all the way out, front one all the way in, to try and give myself as much caster as I could, because I haven't cut the cab mount or done the pinch weld yet. So anyways, try to pull it forward. And then for my toe, I kind of just shot a laser off the hub to the rear, being that this is, solid front axle, non-adjustable. And I tried to account for the droop in the suspension. I think it got me in the ballpark, but it's not 100% for sure. And then with the camber, I might have to mess with that front cam on the lower control arm just a little bit to get this guy 100% true, but I should be close. Toe, for sure, I know I'm gonna be towed out, I would imagine. And obviously I have to make some adjustments because with the lift and everything else, steering wheel not straight. So we're gonna fix that. And to fix all this stuff, I'm gonna be using QuikTrick's alignment setup. It's super simple, slick. If you've done any sort of stringing alignments or anything like that, you'll be able to fall into this really easy. So this is a fourth gen slider kit, excuse me. And if you get just that, this is basically what you're getting. This is the two front wheels, or whatever wheels you would be aligning, but two fronts, the gauges, comes with two, and the tape measures to do your toe. I went ahead and opted for the turn plates. If you've done alignments with toe, you got the bags, you can do like bags, grease. I've even used like the car dolly, things that you set all four wheels on so you can roll the car around like paint shop or whatever. I've used those. I mean, there's other ways around it, but they're all kind of crappy, honestly, in comparison to this. So I have messed with this a little bit. It's pretty sweet. Well, that's it. I'll give you a quick overview on how I set this stuff up. This one's already set up. We'll get the truck on the turn plates. I'll show you how this works. I'm also gonna try and straighten out my wheel, and I'll show you how these magnetic little degree wheels work. And I'll also show you how to set one of these up. We'll run through all of the measurements. They got an instruction book that tells you quite a bit. If you don't know, how things work or what the order to go in is, they kind of give you a pretty detailed, I would say, overview of all of that. So anybody can do this, super simple. Let's see if we can't figure this out. Okay, we got it setting on the turn plates here on both sides. It's pretty straightforward. There's the actual turning surface. You'll just want to kind of center that up in the tire. And then you'll want to center the pivot point within this plate, roughly within the center of the wheel. It's not super delicate, but do the best you can. And then for this guy, these little tips, so they have like a, let me see if I can untape this real quick. They have and you'll see this in your kit, but they have a little beveled edge to go around the lip of the wheel. So they'll hook on there on all three of these. And then I just throw some little bit of tape over them just so they don't scratch anything up unnecessarily. And then for the way that this attaches, it's kind of vague in the descriptions as far as the instructions go, but I mean, it's not super hard to figure out. So you just take this nut off right here, or at least that's how I'm doing it. Take this nut off, kind of just set it to the side, doesn't really matter. And then this bottom piece right here, because you want your slider to go on the top, and that's just for your different wheel sizes. And then this guy right here will screw in, this is threaded, screw into that center piece, and that'll create your two measuring surfaces that you're gonna be using. So this is one setup right here. And then for the gauge, you obviously will have to take it on and off to zero it out for the different measurements that you're trying to capture. And then you have your toe slots down here for your tape measure on front and rear. And then you'll have to square all this up, and I'll show you how I do that. I'm not 100% if I'm 100% right, but it's how I'm doing it, and we'll see. Either it's going to be great or not so much, but it's pretty straightforward. I don't think it's hard to figure out. Then this guy, whenever you do put it on there for your measurements, this bolt right here, this Allen, just goes through the hole on this. And so I can kind of show you on this one right here, there's a hole. And so you got one for each side, or at least on my kit you do. Just goes through that centerpiece. And then whenever you put it on there, it doesn't necessarily need to be tight. I mean, it's not really doing anything other than just keeping it flush with this upright. So when you put it on there, it can be loose like this, not a big deal. As long as, you just want to make sure that it's true and flat up against it, because if it's off in any way, then your measurement will be off. So that's pretty much it. For people that don't know, this is always the order that you would want to go in, because each one of these affects the next, basically. So toes last. We're going to get this number. Like I said, we're not super concerned about this one. This one, I'm questioning. We'll see how bad it is. This one, for sure. Toe, for sure. Okay, we got this set up on both sides. So basically what we're going to do is, I got a piece of tape down here marked at the 0 on the magnetic degree wheel. And as long as you're, that 0 lines up with that and your wheels are what you believe to be straight, then should be good. This guy, we're gonna take it back 20 degrees, 0 it, and then turn it a full 40 degrees the other way. So back to the 0 on this wheel and then forward. And you can see there's 20 on each side. So we'll do this real quick on both sides, and then we'll get our measurements for the caster of the left and the right. So let's run around real quick and spin this wheel. All right, we got these zeroed out on the tape. We're gonna turn these guys on, take some quick measurements, and see what's up. So zeroed on this side. There we go. And then zeroed. Okay. We're 0 on the tape there. So let's take it 20 degrees back. Okay, hold it right there. All right. And then we're gonna 0 this guy. All right, cool. Now you can start turning back the other way. And we're gonna go past 0, 20 degrees in the opposite direction. So let's see. Okay. So there's 20 degrees for the full 40. We're at 420 on this side. And then I'm gonna go ahead and 0 that out so we can run it back the opposite way, see if it changes, makes a difference. We got basically a even 5, or it was a 510 when I walked up, but okay. We're zeroed out. One more walk around here. All right, tiny helper. Spin the other way. All the way, all the way, all the way. To right there. Hold it. Okay. So what do we got here? 430. And 5.20. All right, and we're at the full 40. All right, quick math time. This line was my first measurement. This line was my second measurement. First measurement, left side tire, or driver's side. I brought it back 20 degrees, zeroed it, went up to 0, passed it, 20 additional degrees, got that measurement. that's this guy. Then from that same position, zeroed, brought it back past 0, 20 degrees. So a 40-degree radius, brought it back, took that measurement, did the same thing on both sides. Pretty freaking close. So I feel good about that. These numbers are probably the little difference here. More than likely just my little helper not holding the wheel, or me not lining her up quite right, but it's okay. So you take each one of these measurements, multiply them by 1.5, that gives you a true caster. These numbers are high, so don't be alarmed. It's by design, it's intentional, because like I said before, I'm pulling this front tire as far forward as I can via the caster to stay away from this stuff as much as I can. I'm gonna have to cut this stuff here soon, later video, but for the meantime, we're going high caster. And I'm running high caster uppers, so that's where that comes from. Now, that measurement is gonna change somewhat because I have to check camber. And like I said before, all of these kind of influence one another. So camber, you got the tire like this. If we're leaning out, the top is leaning out, it's positive. It's leaning in, it's negative. So all the cool stance cars out there, you know, that negative. Nobody does positive. Well, with this, as the suspension, because it's IFS, so as the suspension compresses, it's naturally going to gain positive caster. So you don't want a lot of that, and you almost don't even want to be straight up and down, because as the suspension works when you're going down the road, it's going to be going from straight up to slightly positive. It'd almost be a little bit better if it was slightly negative to start with. So when you're riding on it, it's only getting basically straighter or, you know, flatter on the contact patch. And then, you know, full compression, which you'd be going slow most likely anyways, so that doesn't matter all that much. And the tire wear is what we're really concerned about, just the surface it's riding on. So we're gonna check that, and in order to adjust it, I'll be adjusting this front cam bolt, which it's kind of a weird shape, the lower control, but basically you got front cam, rear cam, and as you adjust those, it twists. So right now I've got it twisted like this because I want this front tire, if my fist was the tire, as I push that back one out, it brings that tire this way. And so that's what I want. So I'm leaving the back one where it's at, all the way out. But that front one, I can use it to push this way. And since that back is not gonna go in, it's gonna create more negative camber, because it's gonna push the tire out because it has the pivot off the upper ball joint. So a lot of weird stuff. Anyways, let's take some measurements. All right, to measure these, you zero this off the ground that the tire's sitting on, or the plate if you can find the space. Put it up here and then get your reading. So right here I got 0.3. This is positive camber. So got 0.3 over here, and we had 0.1 over here. Let me turn this back on. 0.2. So it bounces around, like if you play with it. I mean, they're pretty sensitive, but either way, 0.2, 0.3. Positive 0.8 is the max. So I think I'm just gonna leave these. And like I said, this is with the rear cam all the way out for max caster, and the rear or the front in for all the way in for trying to pull this guy as far forward as I can. So we're a little bit on the positive, but pretty dang close to straight up and down. So with that said, we're just gonna rock it like it is. Now on to toe. So I did the measurements, quick overview so you understand why I did what I did, what the string is about. So because the steering wheel wasn't straight, and when I drove it onto the turntables, it was going straight, but the steering wheel was slightly turned to the right. So once I put it on here, after I did my camber, caster, or caster camber, now I'm here. Whenever I straightened the wheel, it was about 5 degrees over. So, and that put this wheel pretty close. And I've moved that around a little bit, so don't read into that too much. But this wheel was almost straight. The other one was a little bit more towed out. So in order to make my measurements, or my adjustments rather, I needed a reference of what straight was, because I knew the steering wheel was straight, but I, turned it straight. That made these wheels turn to the left, and nothing was straight. But I knew from my lasering whenever I did this stuff that I was going to be close, but I knew I was somewhat towed out. So what I did was, from bore to bore, the track width is roughly a 1/2 inch wider in the rear. So that kind of gave me a reference point of what is straight. So I measured back here 7.5 inches, 8 inches up here from the string to the bore. That gave me a rough idea. Then I measured the outer lips back there to the string. What I mean by that is the outer lips of the wheel to the string, and made sure I was within 1 millimeter. That also gave me a good idea of what straight is, tracking from the back wheel to the front. Then I was able to adjust this wheel according to this and put this roughly about 1.5 millimeters to 2 towed in. And then once I did that, I could lock this guy down, climb under there, and then adjust the driver's side wheel to line up with this wheel. So now that I've made all these adjustments and I showed you the measurements before, it's a little dark in here, but I think you can still see. So we're now right here. If you look, I'm sorry about the lighting, but basically we're just over 5. We're like at, that's like 2 over the half. And then if you come back here, you can see that we're basically 1 under that. There's a little bit of minor, but that puts me roughly where I wanted to be, about 3.5 in. And these do have like a little bit of give in them. The light sucks in here, I know, especially on camera, but this is just a general idea to give you, something to go off of so you understand how this works. But I will say that without all the filming and crap like that, this is awesome. Like, this setup is super slick, makes everything really easy. And I mean, I'm gonna drive it. We're gonna see. It tracked pretty good before. I knew it was towed out slightly. Should be tightened up. Wheel should be straight, so we'll see if the wheel's straight. But yes, super awesome. This is totally worth it. Especially, like I said, for IFS guys, if you could do wheeling, anything like that. I can't tell you how many alignments I've had, how many string jobs I've done, because alignments are expensive, and especially if you're always tearing stuff up, this is the way to go. But anyways, I'll check back. We're gonna tear this all down and make sure everything's locked down, take it for a drive, and we'll see how it turns out. All right, I know this isn't safe, but it's been a couple days now. I just wanted to show how the truck's doing. So as you can see, the wheel's straight. I'm not holding on to it, clearly holding the phone, and she's just riding. Well, that's a wrap. It's aligned, riding straight, no wandering. Can't ask for much more than that. These videos take a while to film, edit, all that type of stuff, way longer than if I just did the work straight up. It's only take you guys a second to give me a like, comment, sub, any support. I appreciate it all. Till then, we'll catch you guys in the next one.